So a couple of weeks ago, I reacted to a Skyebrows video, A Million Amelias, which I thought was really fantastic. And I saw last night that Skyebrows did, or should I rather say just released another music video. This one here is in collaboration with his mom, apparently. In the description of the video, it says, about 20 years ago, my mom wrote a psychedelic rock song cycle in 4 parts. This is the first part. We're getting her set up on DistroKid, so stay tuned for the music streaming link. So I'm assuming she probably did the lyrics and the music. I don't know if Skyebrows adjusted the music at all or something like that, but to me it does seem very, well, not very, but it does seem like there's quite a few EDM elements in the music, which I really like. But regardless, we're going to be reacting to this song today. I've watched this video, I don't know, quite a few times now. I think I'm going to do it a little bit differently to the last time when I reacted to the A Million Amelias ones. So I'll play through the song first fully without any commentary and analysis, and then after that I'll run through the song again and pause and give my perspective analysis on it. Yeah, Skyebrows has done, there's a lot of metaphysical, ethical, and epistemological themes that he seems to be using here. So yeah, this is a lot deeper. It's going to be quite a deep dive into this. But yeah, we'll play the song through first, and then I'll get into it afterwards.
It's gonna be a long, lonely road. Sometimes it's gonna feel a little unreal at times. Like a dream gone surreal, sublime. But when you feel it come real, it's gonna blow your mind, and it's gonna feel a little rocky. It's gonna be
Cool transition.
a lonely road. Sometimes it's gonna sublime. But when you feel it come real, it's gonna blow your mind, and it's gonna feel a little rocky. Sometimes
For my #1 fan. I believe that's in reference to his mom. Alright, cool stuff. So, man, there's a lot to unpack. Firstly, yeah, man, I think the visuals, and yeah, the whole music style again. I don't know if he changed the music up from his mom's original piece, but yeah, that's really, really cool. So yeah, being a Christian, I'm going to obviously look at quite a few of the themes and quite a few of the concepts from a Christian point of view. From what I can see, there's a lot of, again, this is just my perspective, but it definitely seems like there's a lot of, he's playing around with like a lot of metaphysical themes, a lot of epistemological themes, and a lot of ethical themes as well in the video. It's a much bigger scope. It seems like he's playing with here, like he's really grappling with heavy, weighty issues. And yeah, my over-analytical brain definitely enjoys unpacking all of these kind of things. So, let us get into it. So yeah, like I say, I'm just going to be pausing now, every now and then, and giving my commentary. So first of all, you've got I'm assuming that's probably different images, potentially of his mom. That one with the seal is obviously his mom as well. So some of my commentary might sound a little bit out there, but I think, again, the themes and the concepts that Skyebrows is grappling with in this video in particular are quite out there. Again, in terms of metaphysical and epistemological, philosophical questions and observations. So just bear with me. But I think, yeah, Skyebrows is definitely toying with very weighty matters here. So this opening couple of seconds, I think to about a minute or so, definitely speaks to me of space and time. So let's carry on.
it's gonna be
You'll see why I say that now.
a long, lonely road.
So the questions of space and time, it's almost as if he's attempting to portray to us that there's something bigger at play here. This to me speaks of the Transformers, Optimus Prime in particular.
Sometimes
You see the space theme echoed here as well. Once again, this is his mom, but you'll notice the color schemes definitely speak of space. On her pants, it seems like she's got almost planets or galaxies.
it's gonna through.
this here, I don't exactly quite know the reference, but at least to me, this speaks of almost like, for lack of a better word, the communist overlords that are currently ruling social media, academia. China would be in here, Russia would be in here, more like the overarching system, I suppose. Hooded figures, never showing their faces kind of thing. Masses of people behind them. This here, almost like the, once again, more space themes, more ideas of space, more ideas of that which is beyond us. Almost like the Tesseract from Avengers. Once again, mimicking that space theme, talking about multiple dimensions, stuff that's beyond us. Echoed in the music as well. It's going to feel a little unreal. More space themes. So now if we're going off the space theme and we're going off metaphysical realities and things which are outside of ourselves and outside of reality, so to speak, this here could be likened to the idea of creation. I don't believe in evolution for a second. Once again, this is going to be from a purely Christian perspective, not necessarily Vatican II kind of Christianity. I'm more going with a more medieval, masculine form of Christianity, which very much advocates for war. Think of the just war theory, created by St. Augustine, refined by Thomas Aquinas. But regardless, we'll get into that just now. So this speaks to me of creation. The beginning of creation. You'll see how this ties up with the rest of the video. So I don't believe in Big Bang Theory kind of stuff, but the whole idea of God speaking creation into existence. The mother's seal. I don't quite get that reference, but yeah. This is a whole idea of, once again, creation. How the earth was formed. This can almost be likened to the mantle of the earth, the core of the earth, how it gets shaped into existence. Once again, there's that egg, speaking of newness, creation, new life. There's more space themes. More space themes. Okay, so now it's going to start getting heavy. So you've got the concepts of creation and life, and then you've got the concepts of death. But this death here, if we're going to go off muscular Christianity, medieval Christianity, this is seen not necessarily as death, but more for the sake of justice, righteous anger. And I appreciate and recognize the fact that in the lyrics it says a little rocky sometimes, and he's fitted it in such a way that it coincides with the video about to start with getting into the war stuff, but also considering the lyrics of the song were written 20 years ago. It's interesting that it echoes Rupert Lowe's talk. I don't know how many of you caught it, but Rupert Lowe made a video about a week, 2 weeks ago now, was the viral one that went crazy wild on X and social media, where he talked about the fact that the UK, London can be fixed, but it's going to be painful. So that's that idea of it's going to get a little rocky. I don't know if Skyebrows put that in there intentionally. Well, again, this is 20 years ago, so he probably didn't put it in intentionally, but it's quite interesting the fact that that theme correlates with pretty much exactly what Rupert Lowe said. Okay, so this is that guy from Asmund Gold's. Asmund Gold did a video about a week ago now, maybe. I don't know, but regardless, this is one of his viewers, man. Yeah, this guy's been through the ringer. So he's from Iran or India or somewhere around that area of the world. And man, he's just been through so much crap just with all the censorship and stuff like that from the IRGC and the crazy Islamic regime. And this is why, man, like, if we had to be real, like, I've got a deep-seated dislike towards, shall we say, the communist, Marxist, progressive, liberal types, as well as the hardcore Quranic adherent Islamists who take the Quran very seriously, because those kind of people, the Quran specifically talks about world domination, and there is no compromise with them, in as much as there is no compromise with the radical communist, Marxist, leftists of the world. And the repercussions are evident. And yeah, just hearing this guy's story on when Asmund Gold was talking about it, man, it's so. They always advocate for peace. They always advocate for, oh, can't we all just get along? But the way they go about doing things is so totalitarian. They criticize others while they do the actual things. They are the fascists. They are the totalitarians. They are the authoritarians. They are the dictators. They are the oppressors. And it's just, it is diabolical. I mean, they are servants of darkness. They just are. From the Christian lens, let's get a better frame. Oh, get into, I don't even know who that is. Is that Sneeko? I'm not sure, but to get back into, let's just try get a. Okay, there you go. You know, a lot of milquetoast Vatican II type Christians would go ahead and say, oh, but the war on Iran is so bad. Oh, it's so terrible. Oh, But they'll completely forget about the oppression that's been happening under the IRGC, right? They'll completely forget about what the IRGC has been doing to their own people. The 40,000 people that got killed in the protests, the years, the decades of oppression, of subjugation due to religious extremism that's been orchestrated by this regime. You know, Christians, Vatican II Christian types, you know, they'll quote Bible verses such as, you know, those who live by the sword will die by the sword, almost like as a way to cudgel Christians who want to seek justice into kind of a position of almost the doormat, almost the, well, you know, who are we to criticize what other people do? if you are going to have the understanding of live by the sword, those who live by the sword, they will die by the sword. Let's think about it objectively. I'm a strong adherent of objective truth. Any sane Christian, Bible-believing Christian would be. Objectively speaking, does the West live by the sword? The answer is no. Does the IRGC do radical, staunch Muslim people, Quran adherents, do they believe in living by the sword? I.e., do they believe that world domination is meant to also be through violence, murder? It's the house of Islam and the house of the infidel. This is in their understanding. So the house of Islam must dominate the house of the infidel. A part of that domination is destruction of societies, destruction of civilization, in order for the house of the infidel to come under the fold of the house of Islam. They want world domination. So yes, they live by the sword. The West at times needs to respond with the sword. It's not a lifestyle. Theirs is a lifestyle of continually living by the sword. So I don't think it is wise to use verses such as those who live by the sword will die by the sword for Christians who don't live by the sword to begin with. The whole living by the sword would be more likened to the house of Islam. They live by the sword. So if those who live by the sword and they do it as a lifestyle, those are the ones that will die by the sword, because they die by the sword through justice, through people having enough of them attempting to destroy civilization, to, in the Iranian instance, destroy and decimate and oppress their own people. The US has seen it with all the migrants that have come in. The UK, boy, have they seen it. So, milquetoast Vatican II Christianity, I think they've got this understanding similar to, I suppose it would be kind of the whole thing of international law mentality, where you can do whatever you want with your own people, because once again, you've got sovereignty in your land. If you're a terrible person and you're in leadership, wouldn't it not be the humane thing to go ahead and liberate those people from you? So I don't see this whole Iran situation, this whole Iran scenario as America declaring, or America and Israel declaring war on Iran. No. I don't see it as a declaration of war. I see it as 100% a declaration of defense. Iran has started the war and been carrying on with the war for a hell of a long time. This here is a declaration of defense. And it's an aggressive declaration of defense, but yes. What other option do you have when diplomacy goes out the window? Israel's tried. Israel's given up land. The West has tried. diplomacy, and they failed all the time. Anyway, let's get back into it. So yeah, like I say, I think that's Sneeko. I don't know, could be wrong. That guy's dead. Rightfully so, he's an oppressive ass. So this one right here, again, like I say, my perspective might be a little bit out there, but I reckon that's two-tier Keir. And I don't know if people made reference to Keir Starmer when they were talking about the whole reverse watermelon, or was it Mom Dami? Regardless, the color scheme here, I'll explain the whole thing from what I understand. So you've got the red-green alliance, right? And I know politically, in terms of the color scheme, you know, the Liberals in the UK, they're represented by the color red. It's just kind of like the opposite in America. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know that. So the liberal understanding, the socialist understanding, the Marxist understanding, the communist understanding, it's pretty much all from the same pot. Pretty much all from the same diabolical mentality and ideology. So you've got Keir Starmer here, portrayed as in red, so portrayed as the socialist, the man who's all about the people, ha, lol. But he's also got green eyes. This is interesting in terms of his stance when it came to, let's take the, I don't know, a more recent situation. The Iranian situation. He chose to abdicate. He chose to say, oh, let's not get involved. Why did he do that? Well, green eyes lets you kind of know. And according to social media and reports, you see him cozying up to Islamists. You see him cozying up to that ilk. Once again, I understand the mentality of the Marxist communists. It's all about, no, we need to replace white European, white UK, white British people because, you know, we're starting to decline in birth rates. We'll get to that as well now. So we need to pander to our illegal immigrants that we're busy boatloading in from the east so that they don't crash out and start destroying society, even though they've been doing that for quite a long time now. So you've got, once again, the green-red alliance here, portrayed by the red skin of the face, the green eyes, lets you know that there's kind of like almost like a double standard there, but it also lets you know that they're in bed together. You've got the green babies. Once again, who was it last year, the year before, where the number one name for new children being born in the UK was Muhammad. Once again, speaking about the birth rates, speaking about babies, speaking of the progression of the line, speaking of all that kind of stuff. This is why I very much support Rupert Lowe and what he's trying to do, because this year, if my interpretation is correct, it's no good. It is no good. And this is what you need to do. It's not a declaration of war. It's defense. They started it. They started it. I think that other guy was in A Million Amelias as well. Don't know who he is. Rupert Lowe, obviously. Based man. Has a good head on his shoulders. understands objective truth, understands what needs to be done. And this is why people hate him. So there's the idea of the Tesseract again, that whole concept of distorting, breaking the fundamental aspects of reality. And this is kind of this is what socialist, Marxist, liberal, progressive types have a very hard time grappling with, because they don't adhere to the understanding of there's objective truth. They see truth more as a subjective thing. So it's like what's true for you is true for me, and what's true for you is true for you, and what's true for me is true for me. It breaks down all the time, because then what happens if my truth conflicts with your truth? We're going to reach an impasse. And man, we have. They'll continually come up with these weird notions, these weird understandings. And whenever anybody criticizes them, you see the likes of Andrew Wilson do it all the time. Whenever they get criticized, they always use this sophistry, this weird jargon that's incoherent and makes no sense. So therefore, because it makes no sense, they've got the concept of, oh, well, that's why I win the argument, because you can't understand it, because I've set myself up as the beacon of morality, and people that don't adhere to my ideology are simply so far below me. This is why my system wins. This is why communism, Marxism, progressive liberals, they see themselves almost as a transcendent being, far above all the rest of us normal, sane people. And this is why they have this concept in their mind that they are the ones that need to rule over us. They are the ones that need to dictate to us goyim and peasants, because we simply cannot reach the levels of idiocracy and lunacy that they've reached to. They can keep them. I don't want it. But here it is, the concept of they're attempting to break the fabric of reality to shape it into some weird thing that I want no part of, and they must be stopped. Okay, so now we're approaching sort of I see this as like the technological advancement of the West. You'll see why I say it in a second. Once again, computers, servers, technology, inspiration, creativity, reaching beyond what is humanly achievable, we thought. I mean, just a couple of decades ago, what did anybody know about AI? Look what we're doing with AI now. I know this isn't the scope of AI, but I mean, the point sticks. Obviously, there you see the man Elon Musk shooting up one of his rockets, speaking once again of the technological advancements. And firepower, you'll see why now in a second. So this is the firepower. You liken this to the overwhelming firepower that America has in the current defensive war on Iran. Operation Epic Fury. This almost embodies that. The next clip's going to be really quick. The blue eye. I'll talk about it now. So the blue eye. If the eye is the window to the soul, and the soul is where you get the intellect from, the soul is the mind. Some people say it can make up the spirit in Christian circles. I'm not going to get into that. It can, I suppose. But for the sake of the argument, for the sake of my observation, that eye that you see, if the eye is the window to the soul and the eye is blue, and this picture comes straight after that, if the US has got Operation Epic Fury, and the blue eye therefore then represents Israel's intelligence, again, blue eye, the soul represents, the eye represents the soul. So the intellect of the Israel intelligence sums it up here in the next image. A lot of people have been talking about Operation Epic Fury. No doubt it is epic. Not many people have been talking about, from what I've seen on social media, in terms of the Israeli aspect or Israel's counter operation, Operation Roaring Lion, which was obviously the counter operation that they were doing in conjunction with the US, portrayed here by obviously a roaring lion. Needs no introduction, obviously. Okay, so again, not a VTuber, don't plan to be a VTuber, don't know all of them. These people seem to be popping out of the weeds, which is great, because a lot of them seem to be based. I've subscribed to a whole bunch of them as well. I've subscribed to this one. Leaflet. I'm gonna mention as many as I can. Again, they're popping up like weeds, which is fantastic. At least, you know, the based ones. Yeah, so Leaflet. Don't know. Nope. So that one there, is it Straub? I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but from what I understand, not from what I understand, she's married to what the other popular dude, Rev Says Desu. More VTuber stuff. I'm just gonna play through this because I don't know a lot of them. Don't know. So here we've got. So Skyebrows seems to be portraying a theme here. So you've got creation in the beginning with the egg. You've got the idea of creation, shall we say, going bad, because I'm not a Calvinist, so I don't adhere to God is in control in terms of the natural realm. I believe that God gave responsibility to man to govern earth. Man, I'm not going to get into a sermon, but just for the sake of understanding the whole thing, man lost that dominion in the Garden of Eden. Jesus then came back and he gave the keys of the kingdom to Peter. Again, the Catholics are going to assert no, that simply means papal authority. Whether it's for the sake of the argument, it doesn't really matter, because he gave the keys to the kingdom to man. Whether that means all Christians or whether that means Peter, it doesn't really matter. The point is, he gave back the keys, implying Satan stole them because Adam and Eve unfortunately gave it up, the dominion. So Satan had it. Then Jesus comes. He reclaims the keys, gives them to man. Man has got authority over earth. Should I get into it? This is why a lot of people say God is in control, and then they're very quick to blame God for people dying, people getting sick, people getting hurt, all of that kind of stuff. That's why I think there's like a lot of atheists that have quite a bad misunderstanding and quite a bad outlook when it comes to God, because they continue to blame God for bad stuff happening in the world. If you have the understanding of God is not in control and man is inherently evil, then you can kind of understand why the world is such a shithole. Because it's man. Man's doing it. I agree that God is in control insofar as he is preeminent and he's in control of the spiritual realm. He's in control of the greater reality. But on earth, he's not in control. So regardless, this is now, to bring it back to the video, you've got a cycle of creation. Creation goes bad because of the fall, but also because of simply bad men do bad things, right? So justice needs to come in and rectify the bad things. Hence the situation that's happening in Iran. Then you've got the idea of when swift justice has accomplished its mission, there is a possibility, for prosperity once again, for the idea of going back and growing again, going back and creating again. This is what I see happening here. And Skyebrows seems to portray it a little bit better later on in the video. I think we're not even halfway, but you'll see it a bit better later on. So regardless, just remember that theme of life, death, because of disobedience, craziness kind of thing. And then it goes back into when disobedience gets dealt with, you have the opportunity of prosperity, of ingenuity, of creation. That kind of stuff. Skyebrows doing a flex. Fair enough. Sinvia, I think that's her name. I think that's her. I think she's a Christian as well. I think Leaflet's a Christian as well. I don't know. Nope. Nope. Okay, so bad. So yeah, you got Matt Walsh here. So now, if they're VTubers, don't know them. But so Matt Walsh made a reference that he hates anime. So obviously Skyebrows decided to take a little jab and put him in one. And that's why he's, shall we say, a bit scared, and he's attempting to run away from his new reality because it feels a little bit unreal at times. So yeah, the fact that the lyrics were done 20 years ago, it's really clever of like Skyebrows to make it fit like this. I don't know if he did it intentionally or if this is just accidental, but yeah, that's pretty interesting stuff. So this year again, Christian Lens. I know that this is a character from one of Skyebrows' other music videos. I don't know the whole lore and the whole VTubing scene and the whole thing that's going on, but this is almost like the god kind of character to me. You can kind of see it like the grandeur of it, and it definitely speaks of like a god kind of character, a moral good, an objective truth, the epitome of a supreme being, which of course is the Christian God. Let's not get it twisted, and let's not start thinking that, let's not buy into the lie that the Muslims will tell you, oh no, that the Christian God and the God of Islam, Allah, is the same. It's not. No, they're not. don't know.
It's gonna blow your mind, and it's gonna.
Man. So yeah, I don't really get involved in weird like romancy things and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I only bring this whole thing up. Let's play a couple more frames. So you've got Ember Paradox, I think her name is.
A little.
And then you've got a Lord Intellectual, another VTubing dude. So I don't know if there's something, you know, going on with them or whatever. Like he released a video on his YouTube. Again, I don't watch romantic drama movies. I'm a guy. I couldn't give a rat about that kind of stuff. I only bring this up for the sake of saying, if it is true, it's a good thing. Because the white people numbers on the planet are dwindling. So a couple more white babies won't be a bad thing. That's all I want to say about that. I don't really care about, but for the sake of that, a few more white babies, not a bad thing at all. So have at it. Just maybe put a ring on it, yeah. More VTubers, I guess. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna go. Okay, so yeah, a bit more metaphysical, maybe again. So you'll see in the next set of clips and videos that I'm gonna play after this. This for me is kind of likened to the whole metaphysical realm. Look, again, I believe in objective truth, objective morality, and objective reality. As a Christian, I also believe, obviously, in higher dimensions. Christian jargon would call it the spiritual realm. For the sake of the atheists, we understand that there's 3 dimensions. I believe that there's more. This, for me, speaks of the spiritual realm, the greater dimensions, 4 dimensions and above. What happens on Earth is a mirror image or a lesser representation of what is happening in the spiritual realm. So let's use the American political colors for a second. You've got biblical references for it as well. I can't recall exactly where the address is, but there is that verse that talks about in the last days. I'm probably going to butcher the verbatim, but you've got the idea that God is going to separate the sheep and the goat. Democrats aren't going to like this, but whatever. That God is going to put the sheep on his right, and the goats he's going to put on the left. So if you want to liken that to the political colors of America, you've got the forces of good. You can liken that to, let's say, the angelic host in heaven warring against the forces of darkness represented by blue, yeah? You'll see how this ties up and why I use the American colors, political colors, and not the UK colors in a second. Right, so if that is meant to be the spiritual realm, the greater dimensions, the war that's happening there, then this here, the fact that they're on Earth, also waging war, this will clearly be what's happening in the physical realm. you've got an overwhelming number. This is why I maintain that it's the American political color scheme. You've got the overwhelming majority on social media, which is blue. You think about the woke establishments, you think about woke social media, you think about all the woke influencers online. They've got a greater voice, online presence, than the political right, shall we say. I just call them just normal people, right? A normal person's a conservative. A normal person likes their nation and wants to preserve what their nation stands for, right? That's, I don't know, common sense to me. And historically, it's always been the case. So you've got the overwhelming majority of degenerate leftists, Marxists, socialists, what have you, bots from China, bots from Russia, waging online social media war against what seems to be and would be perceived as the minority of, shall we say, sane voices represented by the color red, again, the conservative, sane people. It's really fantastic. I must say, the artwork is really, really good. More cameos, I guess. Okay, so this one's probably also going to be a little bit out there, but hey. So you've got this idea of, again, going back to the fabric of reality exploding. There's the space theme again, greater dimensions. So you've got the fabric of reality expanding, breaking. I think this is a reference. I think this thing is in one of Skyebrows' other videos. I'm not sure. I haven't watched all of them. But if we're going off the whole idea of, he seems to be portraying this theme of that which is beyond, that which is out of this world. Interestingly, in Hebrew linguistics, so you've got the phrase seraph, which is obviously a reference to a seraphim angel. And then you've also got the word serpent. In Hebrew linguistics, they're almost identical in Hebrew linguistics. So you've got this idea of, let's take it as in the Garden of Eden, it talks about the serpent. Everybody's, always had there's like an ongoing debate between, was it an actual serpent in the garden, or like a physical one, or was it Satan disguised as a serpent, or what's going on there? And then also, I know it's in the Old Testament. It's either in Deuteronomy or Exodus, one of those books where it talks about the fiery serpents. The Hebrew linguistics, the term for serpent and the term for serpent and the Hebrew word for seraph is pretty much identical, almost interchangeable. So you've got a play on words almost, that it could be interpreted as both a serpent or an angelic host. So it's this idea of creation, but also above or behind or deeper within creation, there are greater things, such as seraphim, because once again, serpent, seraph, the same Hebrew linguistic word. I don't necessarily know that that's what Skyebrows was attempting to go with, but again, my commentary, my perspective. So yeah, we've got, I believe this is obviously in reference to the celebrations because of Iran and the dismantling of the IRGC oppressive dictatorship nut jobs. So there you've got the Israeli flag, the American flag, the Iranian flag, having a celebration. Why wouldn't you? It's a happy time. Normal behavior when dictators fall. I don't know who this is exactly supposed to be. I don't know if this is in reference to somebody, but folks seem to be having a good time. Nice. And once again, you've got the theme of once dictators fall, people have celebrations and prosperity, increase, creativity, ingenuity. You can tell by the crazy flying ships there. Growth, right? Advancement. Reference? Probably VTubers, I guess. So these people, I don't know what this is exactly, if these are more VTubing people, but to me this speaks of, man, at the end of the day, there's always going to be, evil is always going to be around till the day that Jesus comes, right? You're never going to be able to fully kill it. Because the servants of darkness, they're always going to be rising up somewhere in the world doing their devious, diabolical things because people are suggestible and greedy. That's just like people crashing out, right? Just servants of darkness crashing out. I don't know if this is a VTuber, but this speaks to me of the angel of death talked about in, I don't know where it was exactly, but it was talking of with Moses in the Old Testament, and people had to put the offering, the blood offering on the doorposts so that the angel of death would pass. Exodus, Deuteronomy, one of the two. So the angel of death would pass over them. I believe the angel of death is on the side of God. God sent the angel of death. And also, we have to consider an angel of death. It's not necessarily a bad thing because death isn't the end. Like when we die, we're not going to cease to exist. This is Christian understanding. This is Christian doctrine. This is it's a given in my brain. There is no concept of we die and we're a full stop. No. There is afterlife, which is such a weird, almost like a contradiction. But there is no idea of we cease to exist. So maybe a VTuber, maybe not, regardless. Angel of death. Man, shoe on head. And yeah, this is why I really loathe, you know, I know she's the leftist, but she's kind of like, she's almost classical liberal. Like she's got still the head. Like, I mean, a lot of the stuff that she says, I agree with because it's just common sense stuff. But she's still got the understanding of like the old school kind of leftist. And it's so, but it's so typical, but it's also so crazy, you know, just the way that the left will just absolutely take you to town and cancel you and give you so much crap online and try to deplatform you and all sorts of stuff just because you've got an opinion that's contrary to their opinion. Man, these people, I tell you, it's, yeah. That's another one. I don't know who that is. So this is Celestium. I know that she's also had a whole bunch of crap. She was like trying to sell plushies or whatever. I saw a bit on Leaflet's channel where she was explaining the whole situation with Celestium. She's also a Christian as well. I've watched a bit of her content. She's based, but yeah, again, also just going through so much crap because of, you know, your narrative doesn't fit the official narrative. So now you need to get cancelled. You need to come in line. You need to come under the fold. And that brings me back to the whole idea of where Skyebrows is having that play between that whole bunch of blue guys and then the few red guys talking of the whole social media war. And it's just like they've got so many voices, and it's just, no, like it's unnecessary, and it just needs to, yeah, we need to fight it. We need to resist. We have to. We can't give up. VTubers, I guess. I don't know who this guy is, but I very much, if this is a VTuber, but I dig that whole aesthetic. You know, I'm very much in agreement with the word of God, the sword, that is biblical, but I'm very much in agreement, well, obviously you can see behind me, right? But of this whole idea of, yes, there is also a physical war to be had. That's also a VTuber dude. I think that her name's Mizuki, I think. These ones I don't know. And then you've got, once again, it's that idea of, this is Iran, what it could be if people want it to be. It could be like this. But once again, we'll see what the Iranian people decide. But I can definitely tell you for damn sure they're fed up with oppressive regimes. So, but here's that idea of progression, creativity, new life again. I think we're almost at the end now, but man, this speaks to me of, you'll see in the next couple of clips as well, this is that I see this as the hypostatic union of Jesus Christ. So you've got Jesus Christ is the God-man, right? So you've got Jesus Christ, God form, and then you've got Jesus Christ, man form, again, indivisible, portrayed there with the bandages, obviously because of the crucifix. And there you've got once again the beyond, out of this world kind of thing, speaking of almost like the greater dimensions, but also speaking of like the creativity and ingenuity. Think Elon Musk, for instance, with all the rockets that he's attempting to launch into space and that he is doing. So yeah, based. I know that was quite a long one. Shout out to anybody that's actually watched the whole thing. Yeah, man, Skyebrows, I think that's a really, really good one. Again, that's just my perspective. That's what I think about it. But yeah, I really appreciate Skyebrows and his he's got like almost a really good knack for like bringing the VTubing community together. And it does seem like there's a bend towards, you know, the more conservative, the more level-headed kind of people that he's attempting to highlight and showcase. But yeah, I think it's really fantastic. And it's, you know, I'm not attempting to glaze or anything like that. I simply just appreciate the attribute that he has and what I perceive as the vision that he's attempting to go for in community building. And I think, yeah, once again, this definitely showcases that. And yeah, I think it's fantastic. So once again, I appreciate you guys, if any of you guys have stuck out to the end. And we'll get back into the more political stuff on the next one. Until then, we will check you guys. Cheers.